Hi, I'm Ben Sheeran. In this video, I'm going to introduce the various components of Level 1 of the Fluency course. So I'm not really going to go into much detail about what's in the components or tell you how to use them. This is more like a checklist, so you're aware of what you have available and you can make sure that you have all the pieces you need. So of course the first thing is the textbooks. So there are two student books, 1A and 1B. 1A is a bit easier and gradually over the course the difficulty level and the length of things gets higher. Each student will probably need a book and that's about it. We'll go into these in a future video. Also, there are teacher books. Now, this is a really, I think, quite amazing innovation that my co-writer, my co-author Daniel Eichhorst came up with. And basically, the teacher book is exactly the same as the student book, except that all the answers are filled in. So when you're teaching the class, as long as you've got the teacher book, you can just look up the answers rather than having to scan the text for them or prepare them in advance. There's also a very short teacher's guide at the beginning of the teacher book that is not in the student book. And the price is the same. So it's the same price for the student books and the teacher books. There's also a workbook. Now this is kind of an optional component. And I had to think about this because I know that most schools probably don't want to buy 3 books for each student. So we came up with what I think is quite a decent compromise here. So we're going to print the books through Amazon as well. They're not quite ready, but they should be ready by the end of January. If you're watching this in the future, then yeah, they are ready. And so we're going to have the workbook on Amazon, and we're also going to have a PDF copy that's going to be available for free from the website, so that schools that want, a paper book that looks nice, that matches the student books, they can buy them from Amazon. And students that don't quite have the budget or want to try them out without having to pay for them, you can download the PDF from the website and print it yourself for your students. So those are both options. They're available to you. The workbook covers the entire year. So it's 48 units and it complements student book 1A and student book 1B. Now we're getting on to the downloads and the kind of freebies on the website. So these are record sheets. There are, this covers the entire year, I believe. Yeah, this covers the entire year. And you will need to print one of these for each student. There's an optional thing that you can put on the back, which is the feedback portion. So what we do with the record sheets is we have the students fill in their scores on the front, and then every month at the end of the last class of the month, we have them write some feedback in Japanese on the back. Now that's obviously something that you can choose to do or not, but we find it really useful to have the students kind of reflect on their performance and so on. The record sheet itself, it's a little bit smoke and mirrors. It's kind of a trick. So we're kind of tricking the students into believing that these numbers are important when we're not too bothered about what exactly they're writing on the sheets. But the act of having the sheet and writing it down makes it feel more meaningful. And it helps create a kind of student mindset of, challenge and progress and so on. Also on the website, we have these question sheets. Now, the question sheets are A4 sized, so they can be printed easily. What we do is we print them on A4, and 2 of them is 1 month. 2 A4 sheets is 1 month. So we then copy those A4 sheets onto A3, and we give each student an A3 piece of paper to work with that month. Now, the question sheets are actually in the textbooks as well, so you don't need to print them out. You could have students just hold their books and work off that. For us, we find that holding the books, it's a little bit awkward. So it's easier to hold a piece of paper than to hold a slightly heavy book. So that's why we print out question sheets, but they're probably not necessary. We can probably talk a bit more about this in the question sheets video. So I'm going to make a video about each component as well. Right, so these handouts are to help the students check their answers. This is to save time for the teacher, and we find it really helps to have papers we can hand out to the students. We normally print a class set, so the students don't have their own. We just have enough for the class in the classroom. We pass them out and collect them back again afterwards. We also made slides for the lessons. These are very basic. So if you end up using them, I recommend saving a copy and then adding pictures and kind of jazzing them up a little bit. Our teachers do that as well. Basically, if you've got a TV or a screen or a projector, then you can use the slides to kind of make the flow of the lesson. It keeps you on track, and it helps with timing, checking answers, and so on. We find it really helpful to use slides for Fluency course classes. And then finally, we have Quizlet Sets. So if you're using Quizlet already, you know how useful it can be. What we do is we have one set for each unit, and we encourage the students to go and do Quizlet before the class. So they should arrive at class having done the set, practiced with the flashcards, and then done a quiz on Quizlet as well. We're going to have quite a long video about Quizlet because I think it might be difficult for some schools to start using it, but I want to give you a lot of support because this is really a nice feature of the course, having Quizlet sets. And that's it. So those are the components of the course. If you have questions, please come to the website, link down below, or continue watching these videos. So the next video is probably going to be talking about a typical lesson. So that's definitely worth checking out to give you an idea of what it's like.